Honestly, I'm dumbfounded at how that scoring can be. It's dreadful.
Yeah, rarely do you get all three.
The rematch between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk in Riyadh left the boxing world stunned, not only because of the result, but also due to the way it was scored. Usyk emerged victorious once again, but the controversy surrounding the fight was all about the judges' decisions. All three judges gave Usyk a unanimous 116-112 victory, and while the result seemed clear to some, others, particularly within Fury's camp, were in disbelief over how the fight was scored. Many fans and analysts were left questioning how all three judges came to the same conclusion, especially when the fight seemed much closer than the scorecard suggested. Frank Warren, Fury's promoter, was visibly shocked by the outcome. His disbelief was palpable, especially after one judge awarded Fury just 4 rounds out of the 12, with one judge not giving Fury a single round from the 6th round onward. Warren, who has been around the sport for decades, was candid in his frustration. He argued that Fury, despite not winning every round, had at least won more than just 4 rounds and that the scorecards didn't accurately reflect the ebb and flow of the fight. His reaction was shared by many within the boxing community who believed that Fury had put on a strong performance, using his physical advantages and jabs effectively. Despite losing, Fury's team felt the decision was unfair, especially considering the rounds were competitive and not one-sided. Warren was particularly vocal about the nature of the decision. He emphasized how it was difficult to believe that Fury had only won 4 rounds, considering how competitive many of the exchanges were. He noted how one judge had given Usyk the last 7 rounds without awarding Fury a single one. For someone with Warren's experience in boxing, this decision seemed out of place, and he wasn't shy about expressing his frustration. He admitted to being biased because he was in Fury's camp, but he still couldn't comprehend how the judges had arrived at such a score. He called the decision nuts, claiming it didn't reflect the true nature of the bout. Even with his bias, Warren felt Fury had fought well enough to deserve more rounds, particularly with his jab and control of the fight at certain points. Despite his disappointment, Warren acknowledged that boxing can often be unpredictable. He admitted that his team's perspective might have been influenced by their hopes and emotions, but he felt the scorecards did not capture the true flow of the fight. Oscar de la Hoya, another boxing legend, also shared the belief that Fury had done enough to win. He and Warren, sitting together during the fight, felt Fury had won by a few rounds, with de la Hoya giving Fury a slight edge. For them, the fight had been much closer than the scorecards indicated. Carl Frampton, a member of the TNT Sports Boxing panel, described Warren as shocked by the result. He noted that many of the rounds have been close and competitive, which often leads to varied scorecards. However, Frampton believed that awarding Fury only 4 rounds was a harsh judgment, especially considering how evenly matched the fighters appeared throughout much of the fight. He suggested that the decision could have been influenced by emotional bias, as Warren and others in Fury's camp had high hopes for a different outcome. Steve Bunce, a commentator who had witnessed numerous fights and handled many situations alongside Warren, remarked that he had never seen the veteran promoter so speechless and lost for words. Bunce noted how Warren had struggled to process the decision, not even responding in the usual animated way he was known for. This further underscored how unexpected the scorecards were, especially considering how competitive the rounds had been. David Haye, a former world champion and a part of the TNT Sports panel, also weighed in on the decision. Haye acknowledged Usyk's elevated performance compared to their first encounter, but felt the decision to award Fury only 4 rounds was overly harsh. Haye argued that the fight had been closer than the judges suggested, especially with Fury raising his game and boxing better than he had in their first meeting. He too questioned how all 3 judges could have had the same score, particularly when the fight seemed so competitive. Eddie Hearn, the well-known promoter, provided a more measured analysis of the fight. He acknowledged that the rounds were difficult to judge, but ultimately, he agreed with the decision that Usyk had done enough to win. Hearn pointed out that while the rounds were close and hard to separate, Usyk's relentless pressure and work rate had likely swayed the judges. Fury, on the other hand, landed some solid punches and bodywork, but didn't dominate enough to secure a more decisive victory. Hearn described the fight as more of a tactical chess match than a slugfest, and while he felt it was difficult to pick a winner, he sided with the judge's decision. Amir Khan, another former champion, shared his thoughts on the scorecards, emphasizing that while the fight was close, it could have gone either way. He was surprised by the scorecards, particularly the decision to give Fury just 4 rounds. Khan agreed with many others who felt that Fury might have had a chance to make a comeback in the later rounds, but ultimately it was up to the judges to make the final call. Fury's confidence in his own performance was clear, but as Khan pointed out, it was the judges who decided the outcome. Despite the controversy surrounding the decision, Usyk's victory earned him significant recognition, especially for his achievements in both the cruiserweight and heavyweight divisions. Legendary fighter Evander Holyfield praised Usyk for his impressive career and highlighted the significance of defeating Fury twice. However, Holyfield also offered some words of encouragement for Fury, urging him to take time to recover and regain his mental strength. Holyfield believed that Fury had the potential to bounce back and suggested that spending time with family would be beneficial for his recovery. Gareth A. Davis, another boxing analyst, shared his scoring of the fight, noting that he had given Fury 5 rounds and Usyk 6, ultimately scoring it in favor of Usyk. Davis pointed out that while the judges agreed on 7 of the rounds, their split opinions on the remaining 5 rounds showed just how competitive the bout had been. He speculated that there might be a third meeting between the two fighters, as the closeness of the fight left room for further rivalry. Carl Froch, a former world champion, stood by the judge's decision, asserting that Usyk had deserved the win. Froch dismissed Frank Warren's claims of a robbery, suggesting that Warren's emotional bias was clouding his judgment. Froch believed that Usyk had clearly won the fight, and his scorecard was in line with the official verdict, with Usyk winning by 4 to 5 rounds. Lennox Lewis, another legendary figure in boxing, also agreed with the decision, pointing out that while Fury could have been more aggressive, Usyk's body shots had played a crucial role in securing his victory. Lewis acknowledged that Fury's approach to the fight could have been more proactive, especially after having won the first fight, but ultimately, Usyk's consistent work throughout the later rounds was key to his victory. Oscar de la Hoya, known for his keen insights into the sport, also shared his thoughts on the rematch. He believed Usyk deserved the win, particularly for his strong performance in the second half of the fight. De La Hoya pointed out that Fury had struggled with his jab and distance control, which allowed Usyk to take advantage and dominate in the later rounds. De La Hoya suggested that Fury might need to reassess his approach and make adjustments to his game, especially considering how Usyk was able to consistently land clean shots to the body. Teddy Atlas, a renowned trainer and commentator, supported the judge's decision, emphasizing how Usyk had regained control in the later rounds after a tough 5th round. Atlas noted that Fury made a few efforts to impress the judges during certain moments, but overall, Usyk's consistency in the later rounds was what set him apart. Michael Bisping, a former MMA champion, echoed similar sentiments, declaring Usyk as the true heavyweight champion after his victory. Bisping noted how Usyk had hurt Fury multiple times during the fight, although not as dramatically as in their first encounter. He praised the judges for their unanimous decision, which he believed was the right call. The introduction of an AI judge during the rematch was another groundbreaking aspect of the fight. The AI judge, designed to bring fairness and precision to scoring, analyzed every round, move, and key moment of the fight. However, the AI's decision to score the fight in favor of Usyk with a unanimous 116-112 scorecard sparked controversy, especially among Fury's camp. Tyson Fury himself expressed frustration with the idea of AI judging, arguing that boxing should remain grounded in human judgment. Many fighters and fans shared his concerns, believing that the emotional intelligence and experience of human judges were irreplaceable in a sport as nuanced as boxing. Eddie Hearn and UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou also criticized the AI judge, expressing doubts about its ability to fully understand the intricacies of boxing. They both believed that human judgment was necessary to capture the subtleties of each round and the emotional context of the fight. Ngannou, in particular, emphasized that boxing was a man's sport and that machines should not be replacing human judgment in such a raw and instinctive sport. In the aftermath of Usyk's victory, questions about Tyson Fury's future in boxing began to arise. Some experts suggested that Fury might be nearing the end of his career, especially after suffering 2 consecutive losses. However, Fury's reluctance to commit to retirement left the door open for a potential comeback. Reports suggested that Fury was still considering his options and might not be ready to step away from the sport just yet. Behind closed doors, whispers about a potential showdown with Anthony Joshua were already circulating, with discussions taking place for a massive £250 million Battle of Britain fight between the two British heavyweights. Promoters from both sides were exploring the possibility of this high-stakes matchup, which could keep Fury's journey in the ring alive for the time being. Turki Alek, a prominent figure in the Saudi Arabian boxing scene, also hinted at exciting future plans for the sport. Alek suggested that a potential rematch between Usyk and Daniel Dubois could take place if Dubois triumphs over Joe Parker in February. Additionally, the long-awaited fight between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua might still be in the works, adding more intrigue to the heavyweight division's future. As the dust settles after Usyk's remarkable victory, the boxing world remains divided over the outcome and Fury's future. Some continue to believe that Fury is